Hey all, welcome back to another Zen game. We're doing some CC today. I've been trying to do some LL content, but I can't get any good ones. So we're gonna choose where's the new board? New board. Yep, I think this looks good to me. And then, yep, okay, cool. Just making sure. I've been modifying the sideboard a little bit, so a little bit potentially wonky there. Kind of a weak turn one. I think we're gonna overpitch this Tiger Swipe just to kind of get it our hand and get a uh, maximum depth in our deck, I guess. So we're just gonna kind of filter our cards out of our hand and arsenal snag. I think here is the idea. We see some pretty good threats coming out of their hand though. Leave No Witnesses and Surgical are both very, very good. Not a huge fan of those cards. Then we do find our turn 2 Transcend, which I think is pretty alright as long as they don't Siren Skull us here. Again, policy with daggers is we almost never block them. Okay, they do have the Bondsvagni. How do we want to respond here? So I think we can pretty safely block with one card, and then we can snag and transcend. And then maybe we want to just keep the sink below just for an extra card. I think we want to hold on to the E-Strike, so maybe blocking with Chase the Tail here is correct. And then they can either choose not to pump into this, or looks like what they are doing is choosing to pump into this, and then go for like the maximum play here. All right, we get the Arousing Wave out super early, which is very, very good for us. Okay, it looks like they're smart in holding back the Fang Strike, though. Which makes sense. We're gonna... I guess we just homage now. It doesn't really... Like, they only have a Fang Strike in hand, so it's pretty safe to do now. So we'll go ahead and get our first Giant line, which is pretty good. And then what are we doing next turn? Option 1 is to just E-Strike, Sink. Option 2 is to get like Hunter Winds, Tiger, E-Strike, Sink, draw a card, putting the Sink on the bottom. Here I think I kind of just like sending E-Strike for 7 and then arsenaling the Sink Blow just for insurance. I don't think it's necessarily wrong to like try to activate Zen there, but I don't know. Just not like incredible. All right, I'm glad we arsenaled the Sink though. So here, we don't have to worry about Rousing Wave anymore. So this is only ever going to come in for 6 now, which is very important. It's why, keeping the Arousing Wave is obviously very good. What do we want to try to do here? Okay, so we have a potential like gambling option where we can block with just block 4 and then try to get rid of the Stir the Pot. That's option 1. Option 2 is we just respect this, and then Hunter wins. Oh wait, actually, they have the Fang Strike and Arsenal. That's important information to know. So they can actually pump this to 7. So I think what we actually want to do here is we want to just sink below and try to fish for a non-instant. I think is probably correct. We could get punished here though, for sure. But we know that they have the Fang Strike, right? So I think this is maybe fine. Okay, and we got rewarded for our play there, so I'm very happy with this. Here, what do we do? That was definitely risky, don't get me wrong. But I think it's still worth it, just because like we're denying the value. We still know that their arsenal is a Fang Strike. Because if we block 6 there, they punish us super bad. What is the play here? Option 1 is Arsenal. I think we want to Arsenal one of these 2 cards for next turn. The question is which one. I like having Harmony and Arsenal pretty early. So I'm kind of more inclined to try to hold on to that. Let's see what they do here. Maybe they'll change my play. The other option is we can pitch the Harmony to Kakara and then Tiger for an extra 3. Okay, so I guess we should decide now which we're gonna do. I'm gonna hold on to the Harmony, I think. So we should Hunter Winds now to get the extra 1 point of value. it's definitely potential. Like, there's definitely like pros and cons to arsenaling the Harmony, but I think it's really solid early game. Like this card hits a lot more often early game than late game, so that's kind of what's inclining me a little bit towards just you trying to get a value out of our Harmony. This is coming in for 0, but see if they play into it. Then we'll put our Harmony in our Harmony in Arsenal. Okay, we have a pretty decent hand. The problem is obviously just interaction. We don't have a Bonds in graveyard yet. It's important to keep note of. They have the Misplayed, which I think is good. Glad they're not sending the Persuasive Prognosis at me. Okay, they went on levels, and then... Interesting. Oh yeah, they are unbalanced. That's an important thing to keep in mind. So balance, I think, is actually like the balanced version of new. I think is generally quite strong into Zen. Just because I don't think like masking every turn is necessarily where you want to be at. But the downside of this version of new is that the new activation does a lot less. But you do get information there, I guess, which is not worth nothing. Keep in mind, we still know their arsenal's a Fang Strike. So we're just going to say no blocks to this because it's vanilla damage. Okay, Siren's Hiss. Okay, sure. I think I'm fine with this. Okay, so they use... Alright, they're holding on to the Slither now. Okay, so they're replacing their Fang Strike with a Slither, so let's keep that in mind. Let's start with our Harmony, I think. Nice hit. What are we getting here? They did banish 100 wins, so this would give us the last 100 wins in the deck. We could also get the Aspect or a Tiger Swipe. We do definitely want to Transcend here. So I think since we do want to Transcend here, we're probably just pitching the Harmony. Then what are we getting? What are we getting when we Transcend? Oh, we can do like Chase Aspect. That's probably the line. Okay, so we're going to start by Descendant Bonds. Bonds will get Aspect, and then we're going to Transcend so we get a Tiger, and then we'll finish on Chase Aspect. But we do still, there's a slight problem here in that I don't know if we have the resources to do this as well. So maybe it's actually something else. Let's see. Maybe we still will just end up getting... Maybe it's still just fine to get Tiger Swipe here. Maybe we just don't need to get the Chase Aspect at all. It might be worth it. It might not be worth it. I can see arguments. Let's get the Tiger Swipe here, I think. Because this fits our curve a little bit better, is what I'm thinking about. And it also keeps Chase Aspect in the deck, which is just an important late game threat. We're already down 1 Chase and 1 Aspect, so I think just maximizing our value here is very important. Here we're going to search. We'll get Mauling Key's not good. I think we just need a 0 cost though. So maybe we are just getting last 100 wins. Or we could just give up on Kakara too. But if we give up on Kakara, then we misplayed. Let's get the Aspect, I think. I think Aspect is fine. Then we'll do Spinning for 5. The first Tiger will come in for 1 because we've already played a 1 cost. So the first Tiger that we play is getting buffed by Shuko, so we should attack with the Kakara after the Shuko Tiger. Okay. Sequencing here is a little bit rough. We'll do this first, though. We could also just hold on to this Tiger. That's not terrible either. Just have an arsenal. I kind of don't mind that. Although they are sitting on a Slither, so like how likely are they to Codex me? But we'll lead on Tiger, maybe. Maybe they also just let this hit and we get free swing value. Okay, they let it hit, and then now we can keep our Arsenal Tiger. So we used our mana really efficiently there. I don't actually know if we used... I don't know if that was like the max damage turn though necessarily. But we do still keep like some very important threats in the deck, so I'm not like super upset about that. Okay, so they're coming in for 6. So we do have 2 Transcend cards in hand, so they're going to be able to take at least one of them. They have a Slither in Arsenal as well. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Okay. What is their other card is now the question. Could be Codex, would be kind of rough. We've used 1 bond, so this bond's obviously a little bit more rough. What if we just said no blocks to this? We give him a free card draw, but we get to keep bonds and E-Strike in our hand for next turn. Might be worth it. I'm gonna say no blocks. So they do want to slither this, which is fine. We knew about that. So now we can let this hit and actually double transcend. That seems pretty good. So we'll let the hit trigger go on the stack, and since it already has go again, we're not really at risk of anything happening here. Like if they want, like double go again doesn't do anything, obviously, right? So here they take one of our chi, which I think we're okay with. They draw an extra card. But we're still left with E-Strike bonds and a chi, which I think we're pretty good with. And they attack with Scale Piercer, and then what else? Misplayed. They gonna end on Codex or just Arsenal? Let's see it. Leave no. Which would only hit our Tiger, which I think we're okay with, right? Yeah, I think we're just fine with this. We do need to find our Art of War somewhat badly, but we're ahead on tempo a little bit here. Then what is our play now? What are we getting off Zen? It's an interesting question. We could do Descendant Bonds, like get the last 100 wins or like last Tiger Swipe. But then we're not keeping an Arsenal, which is somewhat important if we want to try to set up for the Bonds turn. Here we could also do what? I think we'd still just want to do this for value. So let's go ahead and get our last red 100 wins, I think is fine. Sure. Let's get our last red 100 wins. We could also do 7 and then just Arsenal Bonds, because Bonds is like a pretty good target in general. So like the life totals are getting so close here where the game is probably not going to go for a bunch of turns, so I think I'm actually fine putting a Tiger in the deck. I think we just do buff power and then we want to sit on our bonds, I think is okay. Because like, in my opinion, the game is probably going to max out on like turn 8 or turn 9. Like someone is going to probably die before then. They're already at 7 too, which is, you know, very good for us. And again, we don't have necessarily like a pop-off hand here, so I think we're fine just eating the Scale Pillar. And if they want to Siren's Call us or whatever, I think we're fine with that. Yep, so Siren's Call, they have to now give us, they have to now block out their own Scale Pillar, which is obviously very good for us. Siren's Call is at its most annoying generally when it hits a no block. Just because you get the value from, you don't get the block value from your card as well. Yeah, this card is a menace. We still should be able to keep a little bit of tempo next turn, assuming they don't like Codexes here or like, okay, they do Codexes here, but it's not the end of the world. I think we might just let the levels. Interesting. Why? Then they have Luno. I'm not sure. I think we're still just okay with this though. We close chain. Huh. Interesting. So the Codex now means our Kakara CNC play gets a little bit worse, but I think we're okay with this. This should probably pressure them enough to give us 2 cards from hands. And if you can reduce the amount of cards that New has in hand, it's generally quite good, especially if you're wanting to try to pop off and then within the next like 1 or 2 turns. So hopefully we get them here. They could also, they can't just take this obviously too because they're at 6. So keep in mind we're effectively at 15 here, just with all of our armor. And they had a spreading plague, which is also a very interesting inclusion. Okay. It's not a great pop-off hand, but it might just be what we have to do. Okay, they're just preserving. Yeah, so I think we just go for something here. Like, I think we just descend bonds just to apply pressure, and then maybe Arsenal to sink. That's probably right. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and do this. For targets, we have spinning in graveyard, which you can get. Which is probably not terrible. I think we probably just want a 1 cost, just so we can pitch away our other spinning. Yeah, I think we'll get the last spinning of our deck and then just pitch our other spinning and then Arsenal sink below for insurance. Seems like they might have had a bunch of reacts in hand last turn, so the CNC probably did a pretty decent amount of work, or maybe they were sitting on reacts or something. Because they did just fade us, right? So maybe they had that in hand. And maybe that's why they just like preserved past. Alright, we take him down to 2, which is pretty good, and we have the sink below for backup. Again, I think this is a pretty solid hand. You can even play around Siren's Call here, I think, right? We've transcended more than once. So this is actually something important to keep in mind when you're playing a lot of Zen. Is like, I think it's important to keep track of how many times you've transcended in addition to just like other things. Because if you draw a chi and then you block with Traverse, you don't have another chi in your deck, it's obviously very bad. I think I'm maybe okay, since we have the sink below for backup, I think I'm maybe okay to just give armor to this. Just because, like, I think we play around double Just a Nick here by blocking this out. So if they Just a Nick, it's how much damage? Alright, so it's only 1 Just a Nick, but so come in for 3, we come in for 10, and then we block 4 of it. Yeah, so we go to 2 if it was double Just a Nick. They're not go getting it, which is also interesting. So I think we're gonna sink our Tiger here. Is that better than sinking Chi or like Wind Chakra? Maybe Wind Chakra is actually the sink here because we don't have like a lot of resources, I guess, is my logic. Okay, I think that's better. Alright, so let's see if this first set of Chi Moon has actually been doing a lot of work on camera, so let's see if it does some work here. We'll start with first set of Chi Moon and see if we can draw into our Art of War. Again, this is a no Art of War game, so which is a little unfortunate, but again, this is how you can navigate it. I think we've been playing pretty well up until this point. So they take the 1. I think they probably are just dead here. We get our chase here. And then we'll do, this was already coming in for 1, so this Tiger will also threaten lethal. Yeah, and it seems like they're off it. So we didn't see Art War that game. It was in the bottom 30, which is pretty unlucky, but I think we, just by like, making smart plays into new and like taking vanilla damage, taking daggers, and kind of catching them on an unfortunate hand, I think we're able to take that. So hope you all enjoyed the game. Again, I think new is still a hard matchup, so don't feel bad if you like just get rolled by them. Against in a lot of their games where they just like Bonds of Agony into Codex and then like disrupt your hand and then disrupt your arsenal, it seems like those games are probably the games you more likely to not lose. But I think I'm really liking the sideboard inclusions for this deck. I think the 3 sink belows and the 1 snag and then the 2 that all you got do a lot of work. Notably, we also didn't see any that all you got as well, which is interesting. Okay, so I actually didn't know that you could see the deck. So it looks like we wouldn't draw into Art of War for another 2 turns. That's pretty rough. And then our that all you got are also still in the deck. So yeah, that could definitely happen. Like you can, there are a lot of games where you can just kind of lose for not seeing Art War, but again, I think we were a little bit ahead on tempo, which is maybe valuable in the matchup. Like I think it is actually like more about tempo in the matchup than just seeing Art War and vomiting out a million damage. Yeah, but hope you all enjoyed the video. Again, this is just kind of a short new game that we're gonna upload, and then let me know your thoughts on the matchup and like how you all approach the matchup and what you all do. But yeah, thank you all for watching and hope you all enjoy.